A man had not lost much weight, if any, I think 6 pounds or something. But his waist went from 34 to 30.
That's a huge change. And you can't explain it by any other reason than muscle mass went up as the fat was coming off.
Well, a warm welcome to you all. This video is about the shocking truth about beef. I'm JJ. I'm a life coach and I eat mostly meat.
I'm Eric, I'm a novelist, and I eat beef, bacon, butter, eggs, and coffee, and yesterday some chicken.
Oh yeah, we did have chicken.
And it was
yesterday.
really not very good and unsatisfying.
What about my wings?
I'm sorry to say they were not my favorite.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Was it the lack of barbecue sauce?
That might have been it, but the flavor profile of these were Costco?
It's what we've always...
Costco frozen wings
Yeah, we always
in an
have
air
those.
fryer. It reminded me of, trying to think of how to phrase it, like extremely well done chicken breast infused with cardboard flavored water.
Well, we only have 12 more pounds of those in the freezer, so that's great.
I think maybe they need to be marinated or infused or Instapotted or something to press flavor deeper into the meat, because you said that they were freakishly large Arnold Schwarzenegger wings.
Well, that was the thing, is we always have the frozen Costco wings on hand, and yet I pulled these out and I could only fit 8 in the air fryer because they were so huge, and that has not been the case in the past.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but we can try some different ways of...
Well, those chickens are clearly just chock full of growth hormone or
Oh my
something.
gosh. It was really crazy. Again, I've never seen them this large. And they were the whole bag. It wasn't like just one freakish wing. It was crazy.
But that's one of the reasons why we eat ruminants and not these other animals, is because there's just better nutrition.
There really is, and that satisfaction that you talked about is higher when I eat beef. Now, I did not feel good last time we recorded, and we're going to talk about that in a little while. But it was so interesting because I felt like I was eating beef as my medicine since then.
Interesting.
Yeah, and I wish I had known how nutritious beef was growing up even. Can you imagine people being like, oh, you need to eat your beef?
No. That's full of fat.
So one of the shocking things I learned when we became carnivore was just how nutrient dense beef is, especially. And it was mind-blowing to me at first. So, yeah.
I would hear it and I'd go, okay, well, yeah, it's got a lot of protein in it. So that's good for building muscle. And the fat, obviously, if we can get our minds around it, is good for our energy and our what's the word I'm looking for?
Hormones?
That's the one. And there's no carbs in it, really.
Right.
And so if we're in the mind that we want to be keto, well, then that's a safe food to eat. But one doesn't think about, it being chock full of vitamins and minerals other than maybe iron because it's red meat.
Right. That was true. Yeah, I always needed, iron and protein. That was
So you're saying there's more than iron and protein?
There's more than that. And I think Judy Cho has a chart as well, but this chart we're going to show you, it comes from Maria Emmerich's Keto book, and it's also in her Carnivore cookbook. I've been working my way through the info in this one. I haven't gotten to the Carnivore one as much.
You got the fancy ring binder one.
I did. I am actually moving through her Keto and Carnivore certification course. That's a lot of... I'm working my way through it. And so I got these really nice and easy because they're kind of textbooks, basically.
Yeah.
So I did pop extra for the nice spiral binding.
So you sent me an image of it, and we'll overlay it so you can see what we're talking about. So take me through this chart.
So this is comparing nutrients in superfoods compared to animal protein.
Okay.
There are white boxes, there are light blue boxes, and there are dark blue boxes. And the dark blue boxes are the winners in that category. Light blue, second place.
Okay.
But you'll see on the right, beef liver, lots of dark blue first place boxes. I'm not a big organ meat eater. So that's great information. I occasionally have some Braunschweiger and I crave it. I'll crave it and I'll have it for a few days and then I'm done with it. So I really want to focus though on how beef is mostly light blue, mostly second place. So let's look. Phosphorus, potassium, iron, selenium, vitamin B6 and B12, that makes sense to me. Vitamin D, niacin, all beef ranking much higher than the superfoods of blueberries and apples. An apple a day, I guess, and kale. Now, I don't consider an apple a superfood, although I do get that there's the apple a day saying from eons ago. But blueberries and kale, I just had someone tell me a few weeks ago that they're eating a cup of blueberries a day or something like that for that superfood benefit.
Well, it obviously can't be these vitamins and minerals. It must be the phytates,
Oh, the phytates, yes.
none of which are essential nutrients.
Yeah, yeah. But it just kills on some of these. Look at
Look at vitamin A. This is why beef liver can actually be too much
yeah.
if you eat it too frequently. And I know there's some circles people say just don't even eat the beef liver.
But it does show vitamin C. It does contain some vitamin C.
Yep.
It doesn't rank high in that yet.
Why don't we get scurvy?
We don't get scurvy. That's true.
I should be a scurvy dog.
Look at vitamin D though. 7 IU for beef. That's not bad.
What is this, per gram or something? What's this?
Per serving.
per
She didn't give a.
Yeah, so we don't know how many ounces of beef gives you that. But obviously, when we take vitamin D supplements, we're taking thousands of IUs. But the point remains,
Yeah.
there isn't any vitamin D in these other things. This kind of blows my mind because you just don't think of beef as a vitamin.
No.
You think of it as a protein, as a macronutrient,
Yes.
more than the vitamins in it. And you think of vegetables as being packed with vitamins and minerals and very low calories. And we know they're carbs, but they're complex carbs, which are harder, take longer to digest or whatever. So the glycemic index isn't as high. But they also taste awful. Blueberries can taste good. Apples can taste good.
Well, and I think back, I would always take my supplements because I wasn't a great vegetable eater. So I thought I was filling in around the edges by taking my supplements around vegetables. But no, it was beef. It was meat. And I feel like, yes, we're getting more fat for fuel and there are so many benefits to that, but that we do have a nutrient dense diet now. I mean, just the well-being and the health and the brain health, I don't think it's just the macros.
If you look at this, I mean, obviously we only have a couple of fruits
Yeah.
and kale here. But do we think that this chart sneakily hid the difference of spinach and broccoli and artichokes? What's the nasty little round ones I hate so bad?
Brussels sprouts.
Brussels sprouts. Do you think she excluded those because they would have shown up better and she only showed the worst ones?
I don't think she cherry picked, but what do I know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My guess is kale probably is the strongest in
In a lot of
a lot of these because it tastes the worst.
Yeah.
Well, Brussels sprouts obviously taste the worst. So if you were a vegan or vegetarian and you were thinking, I'm going to get all of these vitamins and minerals from eating those, think of the amount of servings you would have to eat. You would have to eat an enormous quantity
Yes.
to get anything close to the RDAs. And we know that the recommended daily allowance is not based upon optimal health.
It's
And
considered a minimum.
across a wide population of different sizes and people, not necessarily even drawn from a healthy population. So this actually segues into this tweet that I found this morning. Occasionally I just search Twitter for carnivore just to see what comes up. And this amazing post from Kasumi came up, and she showed this pictures of left 4 years of veganism. This was taken in 2018. And then the center, 3 weeks after quitting veganism, which presumably means she started eating some meat.
Now, that is 3 weeks remarkable.
Yeah, enormous change. In the same year, so 2018.
Yeah.
So it's not like many years went by. And then 5.5 years of carnivore and animal-based eating, the winter of 23 to 24, and what her face looked like. Obviously, the first picture was taken maybe outdoors or slightly different lighting. She looks a little washed out. But this is dramatic change. When you look from going from vegan to non-vegan in 3 weeks, it's not like weight loss, it's puffiness.
Yes, definitely puffiness.
And complexion.
And I was going to say, I think her skin looks better because she has more acne in the left.
So the thing that I wonder is, some people would say, well, she's reducing the oxalate load. But the other thing I'm thinking is, you start adding the meats and the fats, and it changes your hormones.
Yes, yes.
So is complexion a hormonal thing, or is it a plant toxin thing?
I think it's both. How can you unwind the two, I think? Because the toxins in the vegetables affect your hormones.
Of course, yeah.
So I know for me, when I was eating gluten, what I realized was my body was in a constant state of poisoning, basically. For me, it was poisoning. And so I had my big thing was adrenal issues. And so my cortisol, I was on high alert with that poison in my body. I did not have autoimmune issues show up with it. But yeah, it was crazy.
So I don't know anything about this person. I did not click in to look at her Twitter history or what else she tweets about. But she says her diet is simple: steak, eggs, cheese, milk, butter. So she's having dairy. And I think that's fine because, presumably she tolerates it really well. I wonder if she went from veganism was a high grain veganism.
Oh.
Because I think that would be pretty typical. We have an idea that vegans are eating a lot of vegetables when really they're eating a lot of bread and pasta, which we know is just a disaster.
She looks young. So I'm assuming you're right that probably the very complex vegetable dishes aren't usually done by the younger people. It wasn't done by me. I was eating mostly rice and pastas when I was young.
You might also notice that her face shape changed. I wouldn't read a lot into that because it just could be as simple as a different lens. Focal lengths can have that effect. But it also just could be the fact that there's a sort of a body recomp that happens to the face itself. Obviously she was always a very lovely girl.
Yeah.
And even when she was vegan, you would look at her and go, well, she looks reasonably healthy.
Yeah.
There's nothing unusual having, some acne. And so you wouldn't think, oh, girl, you need to change your ways.
Not based on that picture, no.
But for whatever reason, she felt the need to do it. And very quickly saw a reversal of something maybe she didn't even expect.
Yeah. Well, she stuck to it. And I think that's one of the amazing things about the diet is its sustainability. Yeah. People tend to, once you hit those benefits, they tend to stay. They tend to stay. And again, it could be lighting, but I just feel like the picture on the right, she has her eyes don't have that puffiness underneath them
Yeah,
either.
that does seem to be true.
Yeah.
It could be a better night's sleep too. But, just a remarkable change, and to think that this is that right picture there. She's 5.5 years older than the left one. Honestly, it just looks like a picture of her younger sister.
It does.
It's so strange how the clock can, at worst, move sideways. You could say she looks a little bit younger, or you could say she looks like a different person the same age. It's really, really remarkable.
At worst, moving sideways. I wanted to bring that up today too, because moving sideways with weight, we get a lot of people who are upset because they've hit a plateau or they haven't lost weight yet. And I just kind of wanted to remind people that if you're not gaining weight, and you have in the past, that is a huge win in itself.
Yeah, if you've just stopped the weight gain.
Yeah. Because I noticed that for me in my 20 months on Carnivore, I had plateaus. They were usually around the holidays, shock and surprise. But also it's cold in Wisconsin,
Yeah.
so there's a winter element as well. And I had to keep reminding myself that I was not gaining. Even if it was, or if I did, it was like a pound at Christmas. Ooh.
If I will say this every single time it comes up, if you are not eating a ton of protein and then you move to a diet where you are, you will be gaining muscle mass because your body will be like, finally, and it will start putting it on. Now, that doesn't mean you'll gain 10 pounds of muscle mass in 30 days. I'm not saying that. But it's very typical for someone who is a vegan, like in this case, to getting very low protein, even if they're eating all the beans.
Well, yeah, we just saw a chart.
Yeah.
It didn't show beans, but yeah, it's...
You can eat all the nuts and beans you want. It's nothing like eating the same weight in steak or even fish or chicken. And so I think some people actually can put on weight, especially as they're trying to get their insulin under control, which can take some time, but they can actually be putting on some muscle mass during that period of time. And that is great news. That is absolutely fantastic news.
I just saw a Dr. Barry and Nisha video where they had a question. A man had not lost much weight, if any, I think 6 pounds or something, but his waist went from 34 to 30.
That's a huge change. And you can't explain it for any other reason than muscle mass went up as the fat was coming off.
Yeah.
And we were told that you can't even do that. That a normal dieting plans, you're going to lose muscle mass and fat mass, and the best you can hope for is that you lose more fat than muscle. And on Carnivore, you absolutely can gain muscle while losing fat.
Our doctor checks our composition every time we're there. And the last time I was there, he was like, how did you lose 5 pounds since our last visit and not lose any lean muscle?
And you said?
I eat mostly meat. I don't know why. I've been doing it for a while, though, but I don't know why that particular time it just showed up like that. But he expects to see a little bit of lean mass go, and he's always making sure it's not too much, which is why he doesn't want me to overfast and so forth. But he was shocked that it didn't budge last time. Crazy.
So this sideways move relates to me.
Yes,
right
it does.
now.
Right now.
If you're enjoying our videos, please give us a like and hit the subscribe button. We want you to always be able to get our content as soon as it comes out. And we appreciate all of you who have subscribed already. But if you've been watching our channel, you know that about 4 weeks ago, I guess, I changed my diet up. I was doing carnivore with dairy. And it turned out that the dairy I was eating had quite a bit of carbs in it, so not ideal. And also the dairy itself might have been a problem. And I was also still very addicted to artificial sweetener, which, as we talked about one of the recent times, can keep your insulin levels kind of up, even though there isn't actual sugar in it. through the cephalic phase phenomenon. Well, the scale for me came down a little bit and then kind of bounced up, but it stayed very, very steady this morning. I was just 180 point something on the scale. But you've noticed, and I think some of our viewers have commented, that my face doesn't look as puffy.
No, a few days in, I was like, wait a minute.
And
You've lost some inflammation, and in the gut too, I would say.
I think so. I think there is abdominal shrinkage. But the thing that I tend to notice is because I am like a first-person shooter in my life, because I just see my hands in front of me. I see my arms all the time. And the vascularity in my arms, that's the visible veins and stuff, has kind of always been kind of prominent. And on Carnivore, it just gets more and more prominent to the point where I think she's mildly grossed out when I wear short sleeves.
I'm not grossed out. It is remarkable.
I just see more and more finer veins coming closer to the surface since I've made this change, which I don't think is necessarily great. I was editing a video last week, and I'm like, that vein on my head is ridiculous. I don't know if it'll be visible here or not, but when I first saw it on the playback, I'm like, am I having an aneurysm or something? I thought maybe it was blowing up.
You asked me about it. Is this always like this?
So to all of you who are grossed out by my head vein, I can't, I mean, I could do this. I don't like it, but it's there. And since I have no hair,
It's there.
I mean, I could wear a hat, but my head gets so hot. I don't want to wear a hat.
Well, isn't it Dr. Sean O'Mara who talks about the visible pulses?
Well, I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah?
Because after making this change, I have developed a visible pulse in this vein here on the side of my right biceps. I was looking down there one day because I had given blood, and I was looking at the perforation wound to see how it was healing up. And I noticed that it was going thump, thump, thump. And I've never had that visible there.
Yeah.
So maybe it's just because I've lost some fat on my arms, which were not particularly fat before. It seems to be the case that the body loses the fat where it's irrelevant to lose it
Yes,
first.
that's the truth.
So I've never had particularly fatty legs.
Oh, they're not fatty now either, boy. But you do have definitely more muscle definition in your legs, and they are larger.
Yeah.
They're not large, but they're larger.
Yeah. I mean, it's
More
all
muscular.
It's all relative to the past.
Yes.
But the vascularity in my calves is disgusting as well. So there's nothing I can do about it.
No, I think I'd like you healthy.
Yeah.
I'll deal with the vascularity.
You'll take me healthy and ugly rather than cuddly and unhealthy. Oh, great. So that's the update. I've stayed very good on this plan. I've had, we talked about last time, some stress in life and in world events has made me just anxious. And so the response to that anxious and uncertainty is wanting to go to the comfort foods. Mm-hmm. I have thus far avoided that.
Yeah.
But even this morning, I woke up, not great sleep last night, and, I had that impulse to want to reach for something like that. I did not.
Mm-hmm. But what about your sleep? Now, last night, not great, but...
But the general trend has been better sleep. I've been getting 7+ hours a night, which is unheard of.
It's
It
crazy.
would be way more typical for me to get between 5.5 and 6. Mm-hmm. So I'm not going to question it. I'm going to like it.
I will say that did not happen the first time you went triple B&E.
No, it did not. Last time we were talking about how some life events and world events had kind of just thrown us for a loop. And you had also not been feeling well.
Oh my gosh.
For some unknown reason.
Yeah. Now, we speculated it was the dairy. I had a lot of dairy on Saturday. We had a family gathering, and I brought cheese, and I had some cheese with breakfast, and just There was a lot of dairy. So I'm not sure if it was that, but I felt just like hungover, like tired, inflamed, kind of achy, headache. Sinuses were kind of acting up, like runny. And so it was very odd because I haven't experienced that really much at all in my carnivore journey. And I spent Sunday pretty much laying on the couch.
Yeah, you did.
Napping on and off and just brain fog. There was definitely brain fog. It was not good. Now, I have another theory.
Okay, let's hear it.
It could be the dairy. I'm not going to minimize it. Yet, we went to Culver's for Butterburgers that evening because it was a later evening and so forth. And I might have been glutened.
Now, you didn't have the bun.
I did not have the bun.
It didn't come with a bun on it.
It didn't come with a bun on it, but I don't know if they fried it where there were buns or if they accidentally put it on a bun and then took it off the bun. I'm not sure, but it did feel a lot like when I have gluten.
Yeah, you wouldn't think that such a minor exposure would do that, but you never know.
I've had times in my life where it did affect me greatly, and I had to be extremely careful, and I've had times in my life where I could buffer it. So who knows what it was. But I'm happy to say that yesterday, Monday, I woke up, felt much better, not great, but much better. And then by the afternoon, I was pretty much back to normal. So that was good. And I'll tell you my medicine in a moment.
It was me squeezing your head.
You did. He did squeeze my head. That felt really good.
There's that scene in Gone with the Wind where Rhett Butler grabs Scarlett's head and says, I could crush your skull like a grape or something. Do you remember that one?
I actually don't. I'm shocked. I don't remember it, and you do.
It's a great scene because his hands are huge on her little head. But yeah, it's one of the therapies for headaches is me to apply compression pressure to the skull.
Yeah, because yesterday I still had some headachiness.
And it helps.
And it helped
At least
a lot.
while I'm doing it.
Oh, so good. So good.
So what is your actual medicine?
No. Well, Sunday, the digestion wasn't great either. It just felt kind of slowed down. And so I did not eat until I felt like I was ready and hungry. And that came around 11 a.m. And so I ate at that time, and I had a ribeye, about almost a pound of ribeye. Going to talk about this in a moment. And then it felt like my digestion slowed again, so I fasted the rest of the day. I didn't eat anything else. But I really felt like I was nourishing my body at that point. It was a real thing. But what I had was this ribeye from Aldi. Now, I've heard some of you mention Aldi meat, and I've heard it in the carnivore space. But lots of times when I go to Aldi, they don't really have much selection there for whatever reason. And I don't go that often. It's maybe a once a month thing I'll pop in. But they had these Black Angus beef from Aldi ribeye steak. And the price I wanted to bring out was $12.99 per pound, which is maybe about $4 less than our grocery stores right now. So I thought it really was a good price. And the grass-fed was even cheaper, but I went with this. And it was good. That's the thing. I was like, okay, but how does it taste? And that particular steak tasted really good, even though I was not feeling well that day. So I might have been a little averse. Like I said, I waited till I wasn't. I was ready to eat, but yeah. So I just wanted to bring that up. It was a good price and good taste from Aldi's.
So Aldi's was cheaper than Walmart?
Oh, yes.
Really?
Yes. And it isn't even a bulk pack. They're singles.
Okay.
Which is interesting to me.
It's interesting to me that grass-fed would be cheaper.
No, this one, oh yeah, the other one was grass-fed. Yeah.
That doesn't make sense to me.
It didn't make sense to me either. I think it was $11.99 a pound, the grass-fed.
Maybe it was old.
Maybe. But it wasn't marked down as a discount.
Oh,
so
okay.
these weren't on sale per se. I don't know. I don't know.
Mystery.
But if you have any experience with Aldi meat, let us know. And like I said, I've taken your comments before and gone and just found nothing. So I don't know.
If you have clues to make chicken wings taste delicious without putting sweet barbecue sauce all over them. I'm very curious to know that. Through most of the day, I'm fine not having a diet soda or a sweetened dessert. But when it comes to eating certain foods, the lack of a sweet component still is hard for me every day. I've gotten very good with my hamburger patties from Walmart. I found I've switched to a Redmond's seasoning, some sort of salt.
It's just their generic seasoning salt.
But it's got some seasonings in it.
Yeah, it's a seasoning salt.
You keep saying that as if that's explaining it. When I hear when you season meat, that means to put salt on it.
Okay, well, there are brands, and I can't remember the brands right now, but like there are brands, usually they contain MSG.
Okay.
Your mom used to use seasoning salt as well, but there's a type of spice blend called seasoning salt that contains these things to make it's kind of a generic type seasoning for
But it's got
anything.
some non-salt things in it.
Correct.
Yeah, that's the point. It's
Yeah.
got some flavor herb.
And often MSG,
dust.
like I said, not Redmond's, of course, does not.
Well, I sort of cake the one side of it and air fry it, and I don't have to put any mustard on it. What I do to supplement it is some unsalted butter, and then I take a little mini pat of butter with each bite, and the blend of the creaminess plus the seasoning plus the beef is something that is actually kind of yummy. Not actually yummy, but kind of yummy. And I'm able to, once I get hungry enough, get through those meals.
Yeah. Now, Redmond's also has a steak seasoning that I think we should get on
Yeah, we
our
should
next
try it.
order and see if you like that at all.
Very low steak consumption still. The thought of it it's just not worth it. I'd rather just have a hamburger patty. So that's what I'm doing.
That's okay. That helps fund my steak habit. You can eat cheap and I will take the steak.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, which, by the way, since I was talking about the price of this, those Walmart frozen patties in bulk are the cheapest that I have found from a major store. So I'm just passing that along as well. I can't remember the exact price, but it's down around maybe $3.60 a pound or something. So those, again, have been the best price in general that it isn't on sale. It's just the normal pricing. And the flavor is good.
Yeah, it's good. I generally eat between 4 and 6 of those at a go. So a pound and a half. I just can't do that Sean Baker 3 pounds of meat in one sitting style of eating. I don't think I ever will.
Well, you have a hiatal hernia too, and when you eat too much, it just doesn't work well.
It's not good.
Yeah.
So, this will be lightly edited because I'm still recovering from overuse injury.
Yeah, how are your hands doing?
Pretty bad.
They're not wrapped up in your caution tape this time.
No, I didn't need the caution tape, but I will. I've been scrolling through X with a down arrow rather than this trackpad, and I've got a very low motion technique figured out for that, so I can fulfill my doom scrolling needs. But fortunately, there's very little news to follow, so I don't need to do that more than 5 or 6 hours at a time.
Speaking of news, before we
let's hear it.
close, we were in the path for the derechos yesterday.
Whatever happened to them?
And so we were expecting a huge storm to roll through, high winds, and there were some really bad derecho tornadoes in Illinois, in Iowa, in Illinois, and I guess in Michigan. And I don't really understand how we didn't get it. I mean, we had rain, we had thunderstorms, but I don't even remember the wind kicking up too badly.
Yeah, there's a few little small limbs down this morning.
Yeah. So we really lucked out with that. So I did want to mention that because some of you do know that we live between Milwaukee and Chicago, and that was in the line of fire last night, and we got off pretty easily. We haven't been to the other property. We'll have to see if there's much down there.
There's only 1 billion trees there, so the chance of a fallen tree there with any storm is 50%.
But I thought for sure we would end up in the basement for a tornado warning, and we didn't even get a tornado warning signal.
I didn't tell you this, but I wasn't going. I was like, I'm not doing that again.
I
sick
would
of
have
it.
I would have gone because this storm was predicted to be so bad. There would have been no doubt I would have been down there. Me and the dogs and our daughter, and you would have been upstairs.
It's just too much of a hassle. And it stresses the dogs out.
It does stress them out, but I don't want to be.
You don't want them sucked up into a tornado.
No.
Like a twister cow.
No.
Why not? There was a little fun ride for them. They'd land safely. You hear about that all the time, about how the baby wakes up in the cradle in the top of a tree.
Yeah, no, let's not.
You don't think that's the typical thing that happens?
Let's not take that chance. I don't think it's the typical thing that happens.
I don't know. It just seems like we've had a pretty blessed life. Mm-hmm. It just seems like it would continue to be so.
Yeah, I'm not going to take my chance.
You're the one who has the sucked up by tornado dreams.
I do. I haven't had one in a long
How
time.
about the teeth falling out dreams?
I haven't had those recently. Oh, I wonder if I have less of that. I wonder.
Another carnivore miracle.